Well, good morning. I am Joan Salge Blake, a clinical associate professor of nutrition here at Sargent College at Boston University, and I'm joined by the School of Education Dean, Hardin Coleman, and I want to welcome you to the BU Chats. And today we're discussing the importance of healthy school lunches. And you can join in the conversation. We would love to have you do that. Please leave questions in the comments section, or you can ask a question via Twitter using the hashtag BU Chats. And Hardin, here we go. We're going to talk about healthy school lunches and what happens, presto, on the Boston Globe, healthy school lunches. They must have known that we were going to do this, and that's why they put this out. I could just tell right now. But, you know, from a nutritional standpoint, what I often say to my graduate students at Sargent College is, we have a secret weapon in the White House, and her name is Michelle Obama. And we are so blessed to have the First Lady that has a passion about nutrition and healthy eating in children, and it really is steering this healthy school lunches.
Where do you think that came from for her?
Well, you know, personal. And a lot of nutrition does come from personal. It was her children. You know, supposedly, you know, they were campaigning, and the children, you know, we were maybe not eating as well. And the pediatrician said, hey. And she said, hey, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so that was the moment, the aha moment where, gee, let me look at this. And then as she started reading, I believe she found out this is a problem in a lot of American homes. So here you go.
So what do you think is really valuable to have someone at that high profile to kind of bring this to the light? And how do you think that will motivate people to change?
You know, I think that is key, because when you get someone that is in the public all the time and has a passion behind it, it'll become in the media. And if it stays in the media, it'll stay in the minds of Americans. So I think that is motivating, accelerating this whole process.
So who do you think, like you think Boston, so Boston's one of these complex cities that kind of reflects the world. You have people with low resources and people with very high resources. And they're all part of the Boston public school systems and the private school systems. How do parents and kids get involved in making change in their schools across that spectrum?
Right. You know, it takes a village. It takes everybody. It takes it in the school system to get some education, followed by, you know, delicious, healthy foods, and also education in the home. Because when the children come home, if they've learned about fruit all day long and they come home and the only fruit in the house is fruit roll-ups, there's a disconnect.
That's right.
So we have to have it in the home, and we have to make it affordable. Like you said, low income. It has to be affordable.
Which is one of the challenges to nutrition food in general. It's much cheaper to buy bad food than it is to buy good food in general.
That's right. So we have to work with everybody's pocketbook, and we have to make it accessible and available. And you know something? Good food is delicious. So it's not like it's going to be challenging to do this, but we just got to give them the resources.
And parents, I think, have a big role. I remember just in our family, my wife had a rule, no thank you bites. Right? Kids didn't have to eat the whole meal, but they had to take no thank you bites. And she says the only boy in the house who failed was me.
Okay, so much for role model.
That's right. I try, but I supported her. You know, so your mother's right, I'm bad. Look at me, right? So
that's like, look at mommy. But you know, it's funny because parents will often say, "Oh, my child was not going to eat fruit. My child's not going to eat vegetables," and they will. Children love fruit. They love cut up fruit and pineapples as such. So you have to introduce it to them, and what's not to like. So.
Make it engaging, make it exciting, keep it varied.
Right, and you know, like your wife, be the role model. Because if mom and dad are going to eat it, then the children are going to eat it. So again, everybody has to eat it.
You know, one of the things I think about the schools, one of the challenges in the schools, is how do you get them to change? Because a lot of times, unfortunately, it takes a lot of public advocacy to get the school district to be focused. Because again, in Boston and Massachusetts in general, we have this huge recession. They're cutting money anywhere. Food costs more. So what are the type of community groups that you know of or heard of that people could turn to get support in terms of putting pressure on both their local school and also the school district to make change?
Right. You know, a lot of times it's the parents. You know, you remember when you were a parent that when something was up front to you, you wanted, especially with your background in education, you wanted it in the school system, you got on that phone.
That's right.
And you made sure you made that call and you rallied your friends and educators to say, we want this as a parent, we want to put this in there. So we have to get parental from the grassroots up supporting this. And there are so many agencies out there that can support it. The American Dietetics Association,
yeah,
the #1 nutrition resource, registered dietitians, where nutrition educators could work with the school systems to get the education, to get it motivated, so that everybody comes on board with this.
How about at BU? If you're listening to this chat or you're out there in the news and you want to get access to help at BU, where would you turn to get information on nutrition, and then also strategies?
Well, here at Sargent College at Boston University, we have an unbelievable nutrition and fitness center that has registered dietitians on board. And these are trained professionals that can counsel you one-to-one. They give lectures. And so the nutrition resources at Boston University are unbelievable, thanks to what we have here supported at Sargent College.
So email, call Sargent, look up at the website, and it's a direct access to
if
that.
you get onto the Sargent College website, look for the Nutrition and Fitness Center. You can make an appointment. And you have access as a faculty, as a staff, as a student to these wonderful nutrition experts. They take their expertise and fit it into your life.
Yeah. You mentioned about how do you make change in schools and how parental involvement. What I found, that successful parents are the ones who show up all the time at PTO meetings. Not just when there are issues on the board, but they're there all the time. You want to be there, understand what's happening in the school, have a relationship with the principal, so that when your time for your issue comes up, like nutrition or literacy issues, but nutrition's a great example, where you're there, you're helpful, and you say, well, I really think, you inform yourself, here's an idea, here's where we go to, bring the information, and principals really like solutions.
Right.
A lot of times in the schools, what we do is we're in the problem, you're not doing this well, but it's really helpful to have the solutions when you come to the schools.
That's excellent. That's an excellent thought, because we often come with problems, but you, as a principal, an educator, come with this, give me something else I can do to solve this problem, and that's great. And let me know how many of you are passionate about that we want to feed our children. We have research. We know that if you feed the children correctly, cognitively they're better. We also know, this is very, very interesting, that children who skip breakfast increase their risk for obesity.
Yep.
So here we go.
That's right.
We're, start the day with a healthy, fast meal, and also many more schools are now getting breakfast programs.
And I watch it. You go over to the Trotter Elementary School, where BU has a great relationship, and the principal is in that breakfast room all the time, meeting the kids, greeting the kids, building relationships, making sure teaching them how to work together, having kids sit down for meals, and so they have some social time. It's really a powerful experience, the way we can use schools to build social relationships around the nutrition, rather than just kind of eat the food on the run. So we know you should sit and eat, let it relax before you go on. It's part of the stress reduction, lets you be more focused.
Absolutely. I was with a colleague, and they're talking about the schools, and they were saying they're putting recess before lunch, so that the children can run, get it all out, and sit down and have a calming lunch.
That's a great idea.
Versus eating lunch because they want to get out to recess.
That's right.
So, and such a simple, strategy to reverse that. And now they have a calmer lunch. They eat all their lunch, and it can fuel the afternoon.
Because if they go too fast, they have to go to class.
That's right. So it's very slow lunch that they have here. But in the classroom, the teachers must see that. When they see a child that haven't had a good breakfast or doesn't have much for lunch, the activity, and what happens with that child in class?
Well, a lot of times when you see time of day, it's very different. In the morning, they're usually highly active, and they may be more disruptive. And so a lot of times, if a teacher figures out, well, maybe a little snack here, a little bit of food there, will calm a certain kid down, or ask what they've eaten. Have they had too much sugar? Have it too early? And after lunch, it's usually, have they eaten enough, and their energy's down, and then how do you bring that into part of the parent conversation? Teachers have a real role to really talk to parents about, well, how are you eating? What's happening in your daily life? Is the kids getting enough nutrition? Because that affects learning. Too often we teach teachers to focus just on the literacy or the math and not the whole child. And even the Boston Public Schools is creating this academic achievement framework where they've identified where social emotional learning, these kind of physical and mental health issues, are central to learning. So they're creating a whole framework where it's integrated with the academics, which is a tremendous step forward.
Of course. That's fabulous that they're looking at the total picture. But wouldn't it, we have some bills in Congress and in the House looking at this nutrition. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we got some funding? Because they're looking at now getting funding for more breakfast, lunch, and they're calling something an after-school snack, but it's really not a snack, it's another meal. So that this way, the child who really needs food, that doesn't have good food at home, could actually go to school and get 3 good meals
a day, and it'll make all the difference in their life. And then be attraction to be in the after school, the extended day, more learning, engaged learning. The middle class families do for the kids anyhow. I don't know.
Absolutely.
When I grew up, I'd get home,
Right.
and there's always food in the refrigerator, and I'd have my after school stuff, and I'd start my homework. I always had that. It was built into my day. Did it for my kids all the time. They'd walk in, refrigerator would open, they'd take care of themselves, and I let them do that before they did their sports or they did their homework. And so for poor kids, it's really great that we have to take that role. And I wonder if that's one of the obstacles to really quality services is people believe, why are we responsible for these kids? I do it for my kids, why should I do it for someone else's kid? And how do we change that attitude?
Yeah, no, it takes a village. You know, maybe not everybody has, especially in these economic times, the resources to do that. And you know, if like what you just said before, if the child is well fed and calmer in the classroom, then everybody will learn. Then the teacher doesn't have to be a person that's doing discipline, and rather communicating, sharing the knowledge that he or she has, rather than trying to get Johnny or Janie to sit down or stop poking around or whatever. And it's all because they're not fed. You know, it makes no sense. So yes, everybody should be fed, not just my child, not your child. Everyone should be fed. And that's, we're all Americans. We should have enough
That's
food.
right. That's a great attitude. We need to hear that more. One of the great things that's happening in schools that you're seeing is they're changing the nature of the PE class. They're moving away from the kind of the standard, let's play a sport, let's play a game, let's compete, play basketball or football or soccer, to more games that you don't have to be a great athlete to participate in. And so you're getting kids moving, as I know that's also part of the First Lady's agenda, is getting people out there moving. And so at the Trotter, again, they have a preschool program where they're actually before school program where they're playing cooperative games. They're running around. Everybody's a winner, but everyone's involved. So you don't have to be the best athlete to do well. So kids aren't sitting on the sideline. And that's certainly when we grew up, when the girls would sit and watch and the boys would be fools, right? And so it's really changed drastically. So that interaction between the physical health and the nutritional health is really a positive step forward. We just have to make it universal.
You know, the USDA now has something called the Healthier US Challenge in schools, where there's actually monetary rewards, where if your school comes up with a new way that to increase the physical activity, increase the nutrition quality of the foods in the school, and increase the nutrition education, you can get some money from the USDA to go for your schools, which I think would be great, which is really super. So I think, you know, I'm excited about this. I'm excited that the country is talking about this all the time. I'm excited that when I open the paper, I see it. And you know, it's good for registered dietitian, it's good for nutrition professionals, it's good for educators, it's good for all of us. And so all it comes down to is eating, Hardin.
That's right. Well. Eating well.
Eating well, that's right. Eating very, very well. So I want to thank you all for watching and joining in here today. And I'm hoping you all had breakfast, and I guess we make sure we have a good lunch, after this.
And go exercise.
Good word. Thank you so much.